You know that feeling, right? That little phantom buzz in your pocket? Or just that nagging sense that the phone you're supposed to own, well, maybe it owns you a little bit too. It feels like we've traded a piece of ourselves for this constant connection. So today, we're going to pull on that digital leash and figure out exactly how we got here.
The writer Andrew Sullivan, he just nailed this feeling in an essay. He wrote, "I used to be a human being." And that line, wow, it just lands, doesn't it? It hits home because it feels so true. It's like we've outsourced a part of our humanity to the endless scroll, the constant notifications, all that digital noise.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're digging into today. Why is it that these amazing pieces of technology, which are supposed to be our tools, so often feel like they're the ones in charge? Well, let's start peeling back the layers. Okay, first things first, we have to frame this the right way. Think of this as a lopsided arms race, and the prize is your attention. And I really want to be clear about this. If you feel like you're losing the battle, it is not a personal failure. It's not your fault. You're up against an entire industry that has poured billions of dollars into figuring out how to beat you. It's kind of crazy when you look at the gap between what was promised and, well, where we are now. The original iPhone's promise was so simple. Stay and touch. Steve Jobs literally said its killer app is making calls. Now you fast forward to today, and the reality is we're checking our phones on average 85 times a day. We're sometimes ignoring the actual friend sitting right in front of us. The tool for connection has become a barrier to it. So here's the crucial point. This did not happen by accident. We never sat down and consciously chose this life of constant distraction. We were nudged, and we were guided, pushed really, into this reality by what's called an attention economy, where our focus is the product being sold. So, how exactly did they do it? Let's get into the mechanics. This next part is all about the slot machine in your pocket and how these apps are literally designed to create compulsion. The psychological engine that drives all this has a fancy name, intermittent positive reinforcement. But the idea is actually super simple. It just means rewarding a behavior, but unpredictably. You don't get a treat every time, just often enough to keep you hooked. And it turns out this is the most powerful way known to science to wire a compulsive habit right into the human brain. Which brings us to this perfect analogy. Every single time you pull down to refresh your social media feed, you are pulling the lever on a slot machine. Are you going to get a reward? A like, a comment, a fun new post? Maybe, or maybe you'll get nothing. And that maybe is the magic ingredient. That unpredictability is precisely what keeps you coming back again and again for just one more pull. And look, don't just take my word for it. This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's the actual business model. Sean Parker, who was the very first president of Facebook, admitted it himself. He said the thought process from the very beginning was all about one thing. How do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? Okay, so we've talked about the visible design tricks, but what about the stuff that's happening behind the screen, the invisible puppet strings? That brings us to how algorithms are manipulating us. These unseen forces that are quietly shaping our choices and even what we believe to be true. So to get a handle on this, we need to understand what wrongful manipulation actually is. It's not about forcing someone to do something. It's way sneakier. It's not exploiting a flaw in your reasoning, a cognitive blind spot you don't even know you have, to steer you in a direction that benefits the manipulator. The absolute key is that the target, you, has no idea it's happening. And in the digital world, this process has a name, hyper-nudging. It's basically a four-step process. First, they collect an unbelievable amount of data on you, every click, like, and view. Second, they use that data to find your personal psychological weak spots. Third, armed with that knowledge, they design the very way choices are presented to you. And finally, they gently steer you where they want you to go, all without you ever feeling the push. So you combine that addictive design with this invisible algorithmic manipulation, what's the actual real-world cost? Let's talk about the high price we pay for all this connection and what we're losing by living in a state of constant distraction. Living a fragmented life like this takes a serious toll. For one, our ability to do deep work, to really concentrate on hard things, it just gets shattered. We also suffer from what's called solitude deprivation, a state where you basically spend zero time alone with your own thoughts. This then weakens our real-life relationships because we're replacing rich conversation with shallow connection. And the science is pretty clear on this. Study after study links this kind of media use to a real drop in happiness. And that loss of solitude is so critical. As the author Cal Newport says, being alone with your thoughts isn't some optional luxury. It's a fundamental human need. It's a biological necessity, just like socializing. That time by ourselves is where we process our lives, reflect, and find real clarity.
Okay, I know. That's the problem, and it can feel pretty bleak. But the story absolutely does not end there. Not even close. Because this final section is all about empowerment. It's about choosing a focused life and taking back control. The answer here isn't to smash your phone and go live in a cabin in the woods. The solution isn't to reject technology. It's much more powerful than that. The real solution is intention. It's about consciously deciding what role you want these tools to play in your life, so you can be the master, not the other way around.
And there's a name for this whole approach: digital minimalism. It's a philosophy where you flip the script. You don't start with a technology, you start with your values. You figure out what's deeply important to you, and then you ask which tools used in which ways can actually help you live that life. And for everything else, you learn the simple joy of happily missing out.
So I want to leave you with one final question to think about. Instead of focusing on all the apps you should quit or the things you should stop doing, let's turn it around. Ask yourself this: what is the one tool you could start using more intentionally today to help you build the focused, fulfilling life that you actually want to live?